K-pop Demon Hunters was huge. I've been repeatedly told basically every kid on the face of the planet was watching it.
K-pop Demon Hunters was so big, nigga, my mom was asking me about that movie. I was like, what you know about K-pop Demon Hunters? And it's ironic because I know nothing about K-pop Demon Hunters. Why aren't characters iconic anymore by Archer Green?
Bring me the passengers, I want them alive!
Darth Vader only has 37 minutes of screen time in the original Star Wars trilogy, and yet he's one of, if not the most iconic movie characters of all time. Compare this to Kylo Ren, who has 1 hour 2 minutes of screen time across the sequels. That's 25 minutes more in a
Kylo Ren, I had never heard of bro a day in my life.
Trilogy that adjusted for inflation earned more money. So why is Darth Vader so iconic, but Kylo Ren isn't? This is the relative Google searches for each character. Darth Vader is consistently higher and on average has 4 times more interest.
Yes, my mother.
He has about 49 million.
Bro, it's because Darth Vader got that aura, bro. I don't even know who the hell that other guy is, but I can already tell you right now he got no aura. That's why, bro.
More search results than Kylo Ren. It's clear that Darth Vader has much more of a lasting legacy. You can say it's because of better writing and a more interesting design, and he's had about 50 years to marinate in movies that are generally more well liked.
I sense something.
And all of this is probably true. But I think there's something deeper at play here. Because can you name me a truly iconic character from the 2020s? The 2010s had Marvel, the 2000s had Harry Potter, the 90s had Kevin McAllister and Neo, the 80s had Indiana Jones and a bunch of slasher movie villains, and the 70s had Star Wars, where basically everyone is iconic. So what has changed? Are movies just worse now? I don't think that's it. I think there's been a wider shift in how we consume media and storytelling. Things are more temporary now and nothing seems to have much lasting impact. And a good way of understanding this is through the lens of iconic characters. This is how Merriam-Webster defines iconic: of relating to or having the characteristics of an icon. Widely recognised and well established.
Well.
Widely known and acknowledged, especially for distinctive excellence.
Luffy, the GOAT? Yes, sir.
Genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist.
Okay, so this is kinda helpful, but it doesn't really tell us anything we don't know. In truth, there aren't many ways to objectively measure whether or not a character has icon status. You kinda just know it when you see it.
Get away from her, you bitch!
So let's take a look at some characters that are undoubtedly iconic to help us get a better understanding.
I don't really understand it. What do you want this loan for?
I want to build a giant space station that can destroy a planet.
Darth Vader, probably the most iconic movie character of all time.
Yes, sir. That boy Anakin Skywalker, that man Darth Vader. His mask is tough. He has a cool ass cape. I ain't never watched Star Wars, but I just know he's a real nigga.
I'm your father.
He's on bed sheets, lunchbox.
Did you just call another nigga his dad? Was he actually his dad, or was he just like being a dickhead? That's kind of crazy.
It's a gargoyle at the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C., The Simpsons, and Family Guy.
I don't know that that would be a good investment on our end.
And I'd say one of the main reasons he's so celebrated is the design. Let's break it down. From his introduction.
So I'm telling you, bro, that's the aura. Talking about the design, I told you. If Darth Vader ain't have that shit on, he would not be iconic. He looks hella cool.
The darkness of his suit stands in contrast to the white ship and white stormtroopers. We know this is a guy who is large and in charge. He means business.
What have you done with those plans?
This is similar to the slew of slasher movie villains from around this time. Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger. The William Shatner mask, hockey mask, and striped jumper. They've all got an image that's hard to forget. In a different light, we've got Indiana Jones. Sure, the hat and the whip is iconic, but what I think makes this character truly special is Harrison Ford's performance.
And who's gonna come to save you, Junior? I told you! Don't call me Junior.
In reality, there's too many to name, and again, no objective.
He said, I don't care, gang. He looked like a black traffic cone. Chill on my GOAT, even though I never watched Star Wars.
Way to measure if a certain character has icon status or not. All of the people I'm showing on screen now are iconic in my opinion, but maybe not yours.
Everybody hear me? Up on the shelf, can you hear me? Great!
But what about modern examples? Surely there's at least a few from this decade.
I am soaking wet right now.
Paul Atreides could be up there. He's got the strong performance, he's in popular and successful films, but has he cut through to mainstream audiences the way Marvel did? Other contenders might be Benoit Blanc, Barbie and Ken.
Who the hell is Benoit Blanc?
And Jake Sully.
Let's get it done.
To help
Who the hell is Jake Scully?
us.
Who the hell are these niggas?
And maybe highlight how this decade has failed to produce
Smoking Stack. I watched Sinners. I don't feel like they're iconic though. Maybe not enough time has passed. Maybe Darth Vader is like mad iconic also because there's like a bunch of Star Wars. Maybe if there's a bunch of Sinners movies or like there's like a bunch of movies in the Sinners verse and they're in it, then maybe. But I feel like it's really hard to be iconic off of one movie. You know what I'm saying?
Any undisputed icons.
Damn! Who the hell is this? What's the word? Suit?
Let's take a look at maybe
Yeah, shawty bad nigga. What the fuck?
the most
He said icons are subjective here.
objective way to measure a film's popularity. These are the top 10 highest grossing movies worldwide of the 2020s. In at number 1 is Avatar: The Way of Water. It's become a bit of a meme to joke about Avatar's cultural impact, or lack thereof. It's pretty much just these two memes. And despite being an Avatar fan, I do generally admit that for the amount of money they make, it's strange they don't inhabit the zeitgeist as much as you'd expect. The main character is Jake Sully, but I'm willing to bet most people won't recognise that name. It's hard to
Hell nah. They got dreads. Okay. Interesting.
say he's iconic. Maybe his design is part of this. He doesn't look all that different from anyone around him. He's just a normal looking blue alien.
Blue Alien. I haven't watched the movie, but is that racist?
Admit that for the amount of money they make, it's strange they don't inhabit the zeitgeist as much as you'd expect. Recognise that from anyone around him. He's just a normal looking blue alien. And despite having 2 movies in the last 2 years, his Google searches never overtook Vader's. Number 2 is Nijar 2. I haven't seen this and I don't think many people in the West have, so not iconic here, but maybe in China. Next up, Spider-Man No Way Home.
You okay?
Oh, my back.
There's no doubt Spider-Man as a character is iconic, but is this specific iteration of Spider-Man iconic?
Oh yeah, no, I got a middle back thing too.
Really?
We've also got 3 animated movies.
They made a Spider-Man with the 3 past Spider-Mans.
Maybe it's because I don't know any kids, but it's hard to say Zootropolis is iconic. Maybe you could make a case for Inside Out. Mario is another Spider-Man case where the character is certainly iconic, but less so this specific incarnation. But do any of them have the legacy of The Incredibles or Toy Story?
We're not aiming for the truck.
Number 6 is Top Gun Maverick. I'd say Tom Cruise is iconic, but not necessarily any individual character of his.
Your line's not long enough! No shit!
Do you guys ever think about dying?
Barbie is an interesting one. At the time, it certainly seemed iconic. It broke through into the mainstream and became a wider cultural moment. But is anyone still talking about it?
Hi, Barbie!
Hi, Ken.
And then at number 10, we've got Deadpool Wolverine. And in this case, yeah, I think both characters are iconic. But while they certainly had a boost to their status in 2023, they didn't debut in the 2020s. And obviously they're both based on comics, so that complicates things. So, what can we learn by looking at these box office numbers? Well, first of all, there's a severe lack of original content.
That's bad.
The only non-sequels on here are based on maybe the most well-known video game character of all time, and maybe the most well-known toy of all time. But it also reveals that despite box office numbers, it's very hard to find empirical, data-driven evidence over a character's iconic
MCU is fried. I'm not watching the new Avengers. But that's why anime is superior, because you know where to start and you know how to follow, and you don't gotta like ask mad niggas, look up mad research to follow. You can just follow the show. That's why anime is tough, and that's what MCU and DC needs to fix. American comics needs to fix. They need to be more like Invincible, because Invincible has one steady plot line and then it just goes. There isn't 50 different iterations of Mark Grayson. What the fuck? There's not 50 iterations of Mark Grayson, and there's like 10 different niggas who are Invincible but not named Mark Grayson. Like, what the hell's going on? They gotta fix that for real.
status and cultural legacy.
But how do you fix it though? Because it's already there.
All of these movies were massive at the time, but 1, 2, or 3 years later, most of them have fallen out of the discourse.
I am Spider-Man.
But being iconic is so much more than just numbers. Going back to that definition, it's about being widely known and acknowledged. Of course, time will tell, and maybe it's a bit unfair to look at films that are so recent because they haven't had that time to marinate. But being iconic is vibes based, and do any of these characters seem like they'll be iconic in 10 years' time? I don't have the capacity to do a mass survey and see what characters people have and haven't heard of, but what I can do is ask someone who's relatively removed from the fast-paced online discourse, who is a casual moviegoer. Someone who's a good litmus test as to whether or not a character has broken through into the mainstream and isn't just popular across these hyper-individual social media algorithms. My mum. So I sent over some photos of characters and simply asked her to name them. She got the obvious ones like Jack Sparrow, Darth Vader, and Indiana Jones.
Not gonna lie, I would not have gotten Indiana Jones. I really don't watch movies. I might be the most casual movie nigga of all time because I don't watch movies. I probably watch one movie every year.
Ripley was Alien Ripley, which is close enough, and she was unsure of Jason, but did get him in the end. Then I started testing the waters. She called Benoit Blanc LeBlanc, and to my surprise, she managed to get the name of Jake Sully. But I was a little disappointed she called Oppenheimer the atom bomb guy. She works in a school with young
The atom bomb guy is crazy.
kids, so I thought she'd get this no problem, but no idea on Zootopia. Honora was a no, the whale was a yes. She doubted herself on John
Pristine rice.
Wick, but eventually got it right. What I
Not sure on John Wick. Not knowing John Wick is crazy.
found was that for the older characters she could name
But not gonna lie, I only know John Wick because of Fortnite, so.
them pretty easily, but for the newer
Bro, it's because they need time to marinate. That's what it is, bro. Like, he just said it, and he's asking the question. Like, it's because everybody he's naming, they dropped like 2-3 years ago. Like, niggas not gonna be iconic in 2-3 years.
ones she recognized the film, but not necessarily the character, which is interesting. Why do older characters break through and become iconic in and of themselves, whereas newer ones don't? What are they not doing?
Nigga, because they're old. Like, what?
To find out, let's take a look at what these older icons have in common. To put it simply, what makes a character iconic?
Also, I feel like the older characters came from an area when like social media wasn't as like oversaturated in a sense, and like there wasn't so many different sides to the internet, because there's people on YouTube, they have like 5 million subscribers and y'all niggas have never heard of them a day in your life, because there's so much algorithms, there's so many different types of content, different types of niches on the internet, so you don't know them. But back then, if someone had 5 million, you knew them, you knew who they were, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's stuff like that. It's like the reason why Michael Jackson was so famous was because you only had like 10 options of who to listen to that you could buy a DVD from at the store. But now you can go on Spotify, there's mad niggas, go on TikTok, so no one's gonna really have that Michael Jackson fame because there's so many different places to look. Your attention is compartmentalized. That's another reason why I think characters aren't really that iconic now, because you consume so much, they don't stand out as much because there's so much to consume. You might know them still, but they don't stand out as much.
First of all, we've got the design, which we've already touched on. A great design tells us about a character without saying anything. From his looks alone, we know
Nah, facts, bro. A design is definitely important, bro. A nigga got that drip on, it's tough now. I will say, Luffy has no drip, but he's still iconic. So there are exceptions, but generally, you do gotta somewhat have that shit on to be iconic a little bit. Will Ghost just be wearing the same fit Naruto never took off that nasty ass sweater? Yeah, bro. And he's iconic too, so maybe it's not the fist, maybe I'm chatting.
Darth Vader is evil and commanding. From Michael Myers' expressionless mask, we know this is a relatively empty vessel. It can be simple like a dirty vest or a tuxedo and a rose, but it has to be recognizable and fit the character.
You never wanted my friendship.
We've also got performance.
You are without doubt the worst pirate I've ever heard of.
Jack Sparrow's design was good, but I'd argue it was Johnny Depp's performance that made the character what it is.
You have heard of me.
It's the same for Anthony Hopkins' Hannibal Lecter, and why Heath Ledger's Joker seems to be the most iconic incarnation of that character. Take the performance away, and I can't see these characters being as celebrated as they are. And another factor is the music. When you hear this, you think of Darth Vader. When you hear this,
I feel like Franklin Saint's iconic, and he's definitely iconic because the nigga who played Franklin Saint. Like, if Franklin Saint wasn't played to the level he was played, he would not be as iconic. Him, her, bodies. If that performance was trash, people would not rock with Franklin Saint for real.
it's the same for Jack Sparrow and Harry Potter. If a character is associated with a catchy and recognizable song, it's inevitable
And nigga breaking his legs, bro, damn.
they become more memorable. It certainly helped Darth Maul and Flash Gordon. But what modern character has a theme tune that's iconic as any of these? Maybe Avengers, but that was at least 7 years ago. Like design, music acts as a shortcut to a character.
And they done took his audio down, that'd be happening.
But these are all fairly superficial factors. If we want to go deeper, we can look at the context in which the character is presented to us. We can examine their cultural resonance. In an article from 2024, Every Movie Has a Lesson argues that iconic characters tend to reflect the cultural moment they come from. They point to how Bonnie and Clyde and Travis Bickle reflect the disillusionment and turbulence of the late 60s and 70s. We can see the change in mood as we go into the 80s in Rocky Balboa, originating as a working class hero in 1976, before turning into an all-American crusader against communism in the 80s. It's an interesting proposal, and I think reflecting the cultural moment can certainly help a character become more resonant.
Thomas Anderson?
But I don't think it's essential.
Yeah, that's me.
Instead, I'd argue that in order for a character to be iconic, they have to be relatively simple.
Where are those transmissions you intercepted? What have you done with those plans?
Don't hate me for saying this, but Darth Vader is a pretty simple character.
I am altering the deal.
For the sake of argument, I'm going to ignore all the prequel business, because while that certainly added to him, he gained his icon status before that.
Pray I don't alter it any further.
So what do we have? In his first scene, he walks into a room and strangles an unarmed prisoner. He blows up a planet.
Damn, threw him straight at that pillar, bro. Fuck he do to you? He done choked him out in the air and gave him CTE in the matter of like 10 seconds. That's not very nice, man.
He's literally on the dark side.
Don't know the power of the dark side.
He's an unambiguously evil character. He very much fits into the archetype of the Dark Lord. It's the same as Sauron and Voldemort.
Harry Potter.
We also have the Chosen One archetype, who goes from nothing to saving the world, fulfilling some kind of prophecy or restoring some ancient power.
You're a wizard, Harry.
And then there's the wise sage character, someone who's typically very old and learned in the power the Chosen One wields.
For 800 years have I trained Jedi.
What I'm trying to get at here is that oftentimes the most
800 years he's trained Deadeye. Damn, you old fuck. How you still breathing? What even is Yoda? What race is he? What species is he? Oh, nice. Yoda species. That's very creative.
I trained Jedi.
What I'm trying to get at here is that oftentimes the most iconic characters are the simplest ones. Indiana Jones is quite a straightforward adventurer, the Joker quite a straightforward agent of chaos. Their motives are simple, and their arcs straightforward.
Where's the Italian?
I want to be free of this pain.
Maybe this is why Kylo Ren doesn't have the staying power as Darth Vader, because if you think about it, he's a more complex character.
I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it.
He's constantly torn between the light and
Still crying ass up, Nick. You tough, right?
the dark, between wielding supreme power and living up to his family name. But Darth Vader, sure, he has his redemption arc at the end, but this isn't super layered. For the most part, he's a straightforward evil guy, and this is why we love him. So are modern characters more complicated now? Is that why they're not iconic? Or do they not have good designs, good performances, great music, or a cultural resonance? I don't think that's it. I think a character today can have all of this, but still not become iconic. Let's take Marty Mauser. There's a great performance, had a banging score and soundtrack, and created a cultural moment with the marketing campaign.
Robert Pattinson. Shut!
But in 5 years' time, will people still be talking about Marty Mauser?
It's only a matter of time before I'm staring at you from the cover of a Wheaties box.
Even if you have all the markers of an icon, it's much harder for a character to break through and become iconic today. And to prove this, let's have a look at another unconventional way to measure icon status.
The Fortnite test. This game is very iconic, chat.
Basically every iconic character can be found in Fortnite. So I churned through every skin Fortnite has ever done, and there was a lot. Here's what I learned. I looked mainly at the skins that can be generally associated with the 2020s, meaning it belongs to a character or IP that is still active today. I found 20. Out of these, 7 were celebrities. This is musicians and influencers like Sabrina Carpenter, Mr. Beast and Speed, leaving us 13 movie skins. Out of this, 7 were promotional. This is Jared Leto and Tron Ares, the grabber from the Black Phone, characters from the new Superman movie and Stranger Things. This leaves us with 6 non-promotional skins. Art the Clown, Avatar, Godzilla and Kong, Into the Spider-Verse, Dune, Mandalorian. So are these the most iconic characters of the 2020s? Maybe. I do think that Stranger Things and Squid Game, despite being promotional, certainly belong on this list too. So if we add them, it means that Squid Game is the only TV or movie that's completely original and began in the 2020s. So is player 456, Seong Ji-hoon, the most iconic original character of this decade? That doesn't seem right. Again, like the box office test and like the mum test, this isn't scientific or objective in any way. It's a vibes-based test for a vibes-based definition of iconic. But what this does reveal, in a shock to basically no one, is this. Look, you've heard this before. From that top 10 list of highest grossing movies, not a single one isn't a sequel or based on an already existing IP. Hollywood is out of ideas, it's the death of original storytelling, you get the picture. And naturally, with less original stories being told, there's going to be less original characters, and therefore less newly minted iconic characters.
This way, Mario!
And when new characters are introduced into existing IP, they're very rarely as iconic as the originals. Can you tell me a Poe Dameron quote?
That's my jacket.
How well do you remember the plot of Matrix Resurrections?
Sure.
But it's not quite as simple as that. Because original films are being made, more than ever before actually. They're just not in the mainstream. You see, when it comes to high-budget tentpole blockbusters, you're absolutely right. But what about films like Marty Supreme, Sinners, Nope, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Substance? These were massive. Everything Everywhere won 7 Oscars, Conan O'Brien took The Substance, Sinners is the most Oscar-nominated movie ever, and
it's the most Oscar-nominated movie ever? Damn, I mean, that movie was tough though, so.
Marty Supreme had a goddamn blimp. They were big when they released, but now, not so much. Their moment came and went. Not many people are still talking about Everything Everywhere All at Once. Can you imagine anyone dressing up as Marty Mauser for Halloween in 5 years' time? So yeah, while great original stories are being told, they just don't linger in the culture for as long as something like Star Wars or Indiana Jones. And there's a lot of reasons why. Shorter theatrical windows and the rise of streaming make movies much less of an event. But also, our culture seems to be much faster paced than it was in the past. Just like a TikTok trend, films have their moment and then it's over. Resigned to best of the year lists on Letterboxd rather than Halloween costumes and pajamas. And because our culture is so fast paced, things have no staying power anymore. Look at this sharp drop off in searches for The Substance. And this isn't a comment on the film's quality. I think all of the ones I've mentioned are great films, and I can maybe see Sinners being a future classic. But
I feel like Sinners would definitely be a classic. 16 nominations.
For the most part, they kinda came and went. And a good way of putting this into perspective is by looking at something more and more people seem to be talking about recently. This was the weekend of April 26th, 2019, and it seems for this weekend, almost everyone was united and brought together to watch the final chapter in The Avengers. Listen to that audience reaction. Do you know what also happened that weekend? This. The long night episode of Game of Thrones. And with potentially the exception of Barbenheimer, I think this was the last true pop culture event that basically everyone was tuned into. It was a shared cultural moment that reached almost everyone. And just like it seemed everyone was watching Endgame and Game of
I remember seeing that when I was in the movies, bro. That John was insane.
Thrones, it seemed like everyone was tuned into The Force Awakens. A whole generation grew up watching Harry Potter, and co-workers gathered around the water cooler to chat about Lost.
I'm one of the survivors of Oceanic Flight 815.
But what have we had since April 2019? A few breakout movies, maybe Stranger Things or Squid Game reached Game of Thrones level, but for the most part, the media we consume has become much more fragmented. Let's look at an example. K-pop Demon Hunters was huge. I've been repeatedly told basically every kid on the face of the planet was watching it.
K-pop Demon Hunters was so big, nigga, my mom was asking me about that movie. I was like, what you know about K-pop Demon Hunters? And it's ironic because I know nothing about K-pop Demon Hunters. I only know about this movie because of this man right here. I'm Kevin, my dog, I'm Kevin. He's the only reason why I know about this movie. I ain't never watched it, I never plan on watching it. He's the only reason why I know about this.
The music video has over 1 billion views. But me, a 24-year-old
billion views in 7 months?
Old man with no real interest in K-pop, those million views.
It was that good, bro. I heard about that shit, but I didn't give a damn.
There was nothing about it. This is the death of the monoculture in action. When I watched Severance, it seemed huge. I saw tons of content about it online and chatted to people in person about it. But I know it's still fairly niche outside of my own internet circles. People inhabit different worlds that seem expansive and universal, but in reality, it's just the algorithm making it seem like that.
Dylan G because he's the GOAT. Yes.
The monoculture is dead, replaced by individual social media realities scientifically optimized to get as much interest from each singular person.
That's what I'm saying. That's why we're not like, it's not all things. People focus on like one thing. It's a bunch of people divided into different interests. So that's why, bro, you can have a mill on YouTube and walk outside and nobody knows you. Nobody knows you. That shit crazy.
It's clear the culture has changed, so how a certain character operates as iconic must have changed too, right? What does being iconic look like in the 2020s? And this brings me on to the final one of my unscientific, vibes-based tests. I don't mean memes in the traditional sense, but modern memes, TikTok memes. This is a different kind of iconic to what came before. It's a chronically online, short, superficial, brain-rotted kind of icon. For someone like Darth Vader, his icon status is very much a celebration of his character. People like him and obsess over him because of how he looks, sure, but also because of what he does and how he works within the story of Star Wars.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
But for these TikToks, this isn't really the case. Take the Ryan Gosling memes as an example. These don't solely focus on a single
How it feels to finally give up and become unemployed. What?
character. We can see Drive, Blade Runner, La La Land. These memes don't celebrate his character's role in their respective story. It's typically just a few select clips that can be easily applied to a specific situation or joke as outlined in the caption. It's operating on a purely aesthetic level. You don't even need to have seen the film. It's the same with Patrick Bateman, Joker, J.K. Simmons in Whiplash, or Jordan Belfort. It's Cliff Booth making macaroni, or Thomas Shelby beast mode edits. It's this gif from Breaking Bad, or a kid named Finger. Don't get me wrong, these can be pretty funny, and maybe I'm being a bit harsh, but it's a different way of celebrating the character than in the past.
Well done. You're not supposed to put a fork in the microwave.
You don't even need to have seen Drive or American Psycho or
Breaking Bad, another W show. I haven't finished it. I started in 2023. It is a good show though, but I haven't finished it.
Breaking Bad to understand the purpose of this. They act as short reaction clips and not much more.
I am the one who cooks microwave meals.
Truly iconic characters in the traditional sense just aren't suited for this kind of landscape. They're made for a different medium, a medium that is increasingly being replaced by something else, something new. I'm going to ask you a question, and
Okay, so it seems like my theory from earlier is right. Because of social media and specifically tailored algorithms to each individual, characters aren't that iconic no more. And like I was saying, like with rappers, so I was right.
I want you to be honest in your answer. In the past days, or past couple of days, have you spent more time watching content on social media, or watching a movie, or a TV
Bro, I've spent more time watching YouTube. Recently, I spent more time watching YouTube than watching anime. 3-4 years ago, that was not the case. 3-4 years ago, I would barely be on YouTube, barely be on TikTok. I'd be watching straight anime. Now, I'd be watching just anything, bro. Social media death killed TV. It's not necessarily a good thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just how things goes. Things come and things go. You gotta adapt or you get cooked.
or any kind of fictional storytelling? Chances are, social media is on top. I know it is for me. Obviously, this is age dependent and doesn't apply to everyone, but it's hard to deny that with the rise of social media, there's been a significant change in the media we consume, and therefore a change in the characters we follow too.
10 essentials I can't live without with Mr. Beast.
In the past, we had celebrities and reality TV, but now we have millions of influencers that can produce content more regularly and reach audiences much quicker than traditional media. They don't come and go like Barbenheimer or Everything Everywhere All at Once because they can keep releasing content. Content that's fully optimized to keep your attention and reach as many people as possible. Instead of watching Darth Vader, kids are watching Mr. Beast.
We're going on some of the most expensive dates in the world.
Maybe there's no iconic movie characters anymore because that space has been taken up by influencers and YouTubers. Mr. Beast can release a video a week that will be viewed by hundreds of millions of people. TV shows can barely release a season every 2 years. In the time it takes for the hype of
Facts. Stranger Things, it took like what, 2 years for like a 12 episode season? Mr. Beast could have dropped 30 videos in that time, maybe more.
a movie to die down, Mr. Beast has already
On dogs? Did you just say on dogs? My lingo is spreading, yes sir.
made another video. And he doesn't need a recognizable design, an impressive performance, or a catchy theme song, because he just plays the algorithm.
In this video, I'm going to be showing you how you can get access to all of my YouTube secrets.
The entire media landscape is basically unrecognizable as to how it was in the past, so naturally the way characters resonate with audiences has changed too. It's sad, but it's true. Cinema can't keep up with social media. There's a reason almost half of the 2020's Fortnite skins are celebrities and influencers. So, maybe the most iconic characters of the 2020s aren't from movies or TV shows at all, but are from YouTube or TikTok. Is IShowSpeed the new Indiana Jones, going to distant lands not in search of treasure, but in search of content? Is Mr. Beast the new Darth Vader, not using the Force to dominate the galaxy, but giving a life-changing amount of money to whoever can spend the longest chained to their ex-boyfriend? Is Sabrina Carpenter the new Ellen Ripley? Is Archer Green the new Doc Brown? Is Kim Kardashian the new Don Corleone? Content reigns supreme. The monoculture is dead. In the 2020s, iconic characters are whatever influencers, creators, or celebrities are fed to you by the algorithm.
Damn. Not gonna lie, that took a turn I did not think it was gonna take. It's low-key facts. What's iconic shifted now? It's not TV no more, because you can't have really iconic characters from TV and movies if TV and movies aren't even popping no more for real. It's content creation.